Good morning. Thanks for having me here today to talk a little bit about how CRS credits natural floodplain functions within the program and why we do it. I'm Dkcarlton, an engineer with the community rating system, and I've been a consultant for the program for the last 14 years. As you know, the goals of the CRS program are to reduce and avoid flood damage to insurable property. In addition, for today's purposes, foster comprehensive floodplain management is also a newer and more significant goal of the program for our purposes. Ecosystem services are provided to us by nature everywhere. But for floodplain in particular, there are some particular ecosystem services that are primarily provided to us by floodplains. And their preservation and enhancement is important to our long-term survival and to the benefit of downstream property owners. Some of these may include freshwater supply, storage of floodwaters, carbon sequestration, biodiversity, in particular, preservation and enhancement of habitat for endangered and threatened species, and then recreation. I think most of us like to go out and recreate in natural areas. There are 10 CRS elements that award credit for natural functions. Some of these were new in the 2013 manual, and actually some of them are brand new with the addendum in the 2020. In 2013, we also added a class 4 prerequisite of 100 points of natural functions credit for a community to become a class 4 or better. They can earn points in any or all 10 of these elements that award credit for natural functions. To become a class 1 community, the community must have at least 150 points of natural functions credit. There are 10 elements are open space, naturally functioning open space, probably the most popular, natural shoreline protection, prohibition of fill, additional map layer when you include a natural functions layer, managing the volume of stormwater runoff, preventing increased flows from running off sites, requiring low impact development, portions of watershed management planning, requiring erosion and sediment control for new construction, requiring best management practices and water quality improvements, and then natural floodplain functions planning. So first, in open space, there are a lot of points available for open space, up to 2,000, but natural functions open space, there's another on top of that, 350 points of credit. Then there's natural shoreline protection, up to another 120 points. But of course, these scores or these potential points are always reduced by an impact adjustment. How much of your special flood hazard area is actually naturally functioning, open space, or how much of your stream miles are natural and protected for natural shoreline protection. 350 points of naturally functioning open space is divided into 4 sub-elements. If it's naturally functioning, up to 170 points. If it's within the boundaries of a natural functions plan, another 50 points. If the open space contains critical habitat, 50 points for endangered species, or if it's within an open space corridor, potentially another 60 points. So open space in its natural state provides more benefits: flood storage, reduced sedimentation, water quality, aquifer recharge, richer soils, biodiversity, and particularly from an ESA standpoint, habitat, critical habitat for many species. Parcel in its natural state is what we credit. Examples are areas that were never disturbed or were restored to a natural state. Sometimes it could be designated by a recognized program, but we would recognize that it's a natural area. Areas not credited are those with just a scenic designation, recreational area, where clear cutting is allowed, or where beach and dune nourishment are allowed. For documentation, it could be a report that shows the area, or a letter or form signed by a professional. This last form is on our website and is frequently used by communities and their officials to verify that it's a naturally functioning area. Naturally functioning open space, parcel in a natural functions plan, such as either one of these, can be credited. And you get additional credit if there's a plan that identifies the species and habitat that need to be preserved and how to do it. Or parcel is critical habitat for an endangered species, such as the turtles. Natural shoreline protection, up to 120 points, but this is only for shorelines that are currently natural. They are protected by an ordinance plan. That requires they cannot be hardened. In other words, no riprap, no bulkheads are allowed. Shore migration, erosion of the shoreline must be allowed. It must be allowed to move back and forth across the floodplain. Prohibition of fill, in particular, development limitation number 1 is up to 280 points if you prohibit all fill within the special flood hazard area. One of the most important aspects of this is it preserves the storage capacity of the floodplain and prevents higher elevations from flooding upstream, and not only higher elevations downstream, but also increased peak flows and frequency of flooding. It also prevents or encourages natural vegetation by not allowing fill. Stormwater management, one of the sub-elements is design storm, and you can earn up to an additional 50 points when you manage not just peak flows, but also the volume of runoff coming off a site. So it's not just that the 10-year or 100-year peak flows have to match at the edge of the site, but also the total volume of runoff from that storm has to match. So this may require infiltration, but it prevents erosion of stream systems, promotes groundwater recharge, it prevents increased peak flows, and helps preserve stream health. We give additional credit when a community requires the use of low impact development techniques for all new development to help manage these peak flows. Again, same types of benefits: reduces total stormwater runoff, better water quality, maintain base flows through better infiltration, stream health, and prevents erosion. We also encourage communities to meet the mandates of the Environmental Protection Agency for erosion and sediment control. So if you're complying with your MS4 or MPDES permit to regulate and require erosion and sediment control for all disturbed land greater than 1 acre, you can get 10 points. Many communities, however, go beyond that and regulate 1/2 acre or greater, or 1,000 square feet or greater, or actually all development. They can earn increasing levels of points if that's what they do. And then water quality regulations can be credited. And this is basically for when new developments must incorporate best management practices. Many communities do this because they have their NPDES permit, and which requires them to do it. And then we have natural functions planning, up to 100 points. The credit is for adopting plans that protect natural functions, identify and provide an inventory of the ecological functions and species present. How do you plan to preserve it? Some examples are habitat conservation plans, like for sea turtles in Volusia County, Florida. Species or habitat restoration plans, such as where I live, we get a lot of salmon habitat restoration plans. And new this year, plans targeting endangered species. And these are called floodplain species assessment or a floodplain species plan. You must do a floodplain species assessment assessing all listed species within your community and which are important to address. That's 15 points, that's step one. And then to actually develop a plan of action, how to preserve the habitat, increase the habitat, is up to another 85 points. And I want to thank you for your attention today. Just remind you, we have crsresources.org for more information and open for questions. Thank you.